Welcome, everyone. We are excited to be talking today about the 14 touches to win the sales cycle. Just a couple housekeeping items. We do have a couple polls in this webinar, so any of you that are participating, I would love it if you would actually do the poll, as it's always helpful to others to find out what's going on from other firms around the country. Second, you know you always have the chatting option. If you have any questions during the webinar, I'm happy to stop and answer the question as we're moving along. Otherwise, you can always ask them at the end of the webinar or email me, which my email will be on the last slide. So to start, we're actually hearing from many professionals that there's a lot of frustration because what they used to do doesn't work anymore in this whole sales process area. And I would say it's mostly from the middle ones, as the seniors, those older rainmakers, still have that referral network that are actually producing referrals. And you actually were able to build a practice from referrals and build a firm through networking, you know, whether it was attending the local chambers, being involved in Rotary, and now that seems is not enough anymore. All right, my name is Dawn Wagoner. I'm a principal at Ingenuity Marketing Group. I have actually worked at 2 CPA firms and have now worked at Ingenuity Marketing Group for 9 years as of January. Hopefully most of you know, I believe we have a lot of attendees that have attended before but are familiar with Ingenuity Marketing Group. But we are a firm that specializes exclusively on professional services. We have a wide variety of tools in our toolbox to help a wide variety of problems, as the slide suggests. And this is my marvelous team. And actually, I have one more for sure to add, is today we have a new hire. So any of you that call our office, her name is Elizabeth Henry. She's our new receptionist and administrative person. So we're excited to have her join our team. So we're going to do our first poll, and everyone can participate. And this one, you can choose multiple answers here, but you know, choose your number one or number two thing that you're seeing. So what are some of the frustrations with your current sales process? All right, we're going to close the poll, and we're publishing the results. But 29% of you have a lack of growth that you're seeing in the sales process, which is something that we do here. And we actually at Ingenuity a few years ago really redid our entire sales process and what we were doing and how we were selling because of that lack of growth. And it does take time for change. And I know from what I hear from salespeople, what used to work really doesn't work either anymore in terms of qualifying prospects and the questions and answering and how that entire sales process went. Commodity price pressure, 43% of you. I'm surprised it's not higher. 43% is actually pretty good, especially in the audit area. I know there's one slide here we're going to talk about. Even with law firms, it's a buyer's market right now, and you know they're getting pressure from their clients on reducing their fees. 21%, lots of competition, very common, especially depending on what market you're in. I know here we are in Minneapolis-St. Paul area. There's a lot of CPA firms here, and there's, you know, you never know who you're going to come up against. It's not always industry focused, which sometimes it is, but there is a lot of competition. And then 14%, not getting the right clients. And that's not really something we're going to be talking about today because that's really about qualifying your clients, but it's definitely something that we do hear about. And we really stress understanding what the perfect client is for your firm. All right, well, with all of those responses, no wonder a lot of us feel like this. So let's about the ancient world pursuit, as we've said, or as we talk about it, it actually started in the early 90s, and I would say it was pre-internet. And it was really focused on 100% of who you knew. So you and your referral source go way back, which, you know, I'm sure you still hear in many firms, especially when you're talking to some of the older partners. You know, you and your referral source socialize together. Their wives or their wives are friends, or they're in the same boating or yacht club, or they belong to the same golf club. The prospect asks the referral source for a referral. The referral source hands over your card. The prospect calls you and you respond. Boy, that would be so amazing if it actually still works like that. I can't tell you how many times I'm at a meeting and I get various cards. If each one of those became some sort of client, that would be amazing. So let's go to the slightly more modern version, the old world pursuit. And I can actually understand when you're looking at this why we hear that a lot of people feel that basic networking events are a waste of time. And they don't work like this anymore. It's different. And you can see, you know, this is so funny. You meet the prospect at a fundraiser, you chat briefly, you exchange cards, you call the prospect to set up the lunch, and you leave a voicemail. The prospect does not respond. Imagine that. You send an email 3 weeks later, and the prospect still does not respond. And then you really think that these networking things are a waste of time. It really take a lot more persistence than just 2 emails or a call to get people to respond to you. So let's talk about the new world pursuit. How can, and I'm going to use a case study here, but how can Jerry win over Sarah? So I want to go back and talk about Jerry's team before we get into what the new world pursuit looks like, or the new pursuit. Now, Jerry's a construction guy. Earl is Jerry's boss. Beth works for Earl, so she might be a senior accountant or some sort of paraprofessional or something. And Shannon's the marketing director at this firm. Now, the beautiful thing is firms with a marketing director is the marketing director is actually setting up systems for success. And you're going to see, based on this new pursuit, that there are a lot of systems set up. And this is what they do all day. And I think a lot of times partners don't always realize that Shannon's been very busy behind the scenes. So if you look at this graph, we use this, is that you have for growth, you have the foundation, which is the strategy and tools, and then you have these 5 different categories. And the marketing director actually sets up all of this. And she or he may not be an expert in all these different areas, so they may be outsourcing various parts of it, but this is the full marketing aspect of what's happening at a professional service firm. So before we get into what and how the new pursuit looks, let's discuss why it's changed. We have increased competition, which we saw on that poll. The internet has changed the way buyers buy, and there's a lack of defined strategy. So everyone knows, as we saw in that poll, there's a lot of increased competition. And here are just a few industries, these next 2 slides. Here you can see construction is actually the most highly competitive of all the industries. This is a law firm. I love this quote, but it says, you know, that mid-sized law firms will continue to practice in a buyer's market, and that buyers or clients will have a wide range of choices of highly quality lawyers and law firms to serve them. Depending on where you're located, I know we actually have more lawyers than there are jobs right now in the Twin Cities, in Minnesota here. So this definitely holds true. Then let's talk about accounting. Competition in the accounting industry is fierce, which can pressure some CPAs to compete for business using pricing alone, which is not something at Ingenuity we recommend. And it doesn't always happen, even though you do have those bidding wars, and you do have where they have to take the lowest bid. But overall, you can use your competitive differentiation to your advantage. So we're going to do our next poll. And this is, it definitely is a much tougher market. And if you could just pick one that you're seeing in terms of competition, that would be wonderful. So our polls have disappeared. We're having technical difficulties. So let us know what you're seeing. You just launched the poll. All right, I think we're seeing a trend. I'm going to launch the results, but 74% of you are seeing a much tougher market with lots of competition. So this new pursuit is even more, will be even more beneficial to you. So we're going to talk about how the internet has changed the way buyers buy. And actually, I'm not sure if I should admit this, but I'm sure if some of you are in your 40s and you think about it, when I first started at an accounting firm in marketing in 1993, and I think my very first job, or not first job, but my first marketing job in a CPA firm was in 1996. There was only one computer that had internet. And so it really has changed the way buyers buy. And you'll see from these statistics, more and more people are doing their research online. And you not only have to think about search engine optimization, because Google is always changing the way things are done, but you need to think about referral engine optimization and making sure that your website and your online marketing is actually maximized for REO as well. If a referral does happen from one of those referral sources and Sally's looking for a new CPA or a new lawyer, you know, what does your bio look like on the website? Does it give a little bit personality? Because almost unfortunately, expertise is almost a given nowadays. So we have to have some sort of connection because we buy emotionally. And I love this statistic. 40% of companies that get online leads are growing 4 times more than competitors. That's by Hinge Marketing. So before the internet, it was very much focused on who you need. And you really needed contacts or you were dead in the water. And now that's changed. The final way that things have changed is there's a lack of defined strategy. And I want to say it's not necessarily that it's changed, but many firms just don't have one, unfortunately. And they now actually need one because the world has gotten tougher in the sales area. For example, how can you not have a defined strategy when you have 9 things that you need to know about social media? So about a year and a half ago, one of our head communications consultants, Rachel Gold, did some research. And we had her look at other professional service firms and things that were similar to our clients. And she had determined it wasn't 7 contacts anymore. I remember in the 90s it was it took 7 contacts to become a client. Now, from the time they heard of you to the time they become a client, it takes 14 touches. And 9 of those are marketing touches. So whether it's they receive your e-newsletter, they see a LinkedIn status update, they see an ad of yours, however that looks for that marketing touch. But you also need 5 experience touches. So maybe they hear you speak, or they actually meet you at a networking function. So 14 is a lot. So let's go back to Jerry's team and just to refresh all of your memories. Jerry is the construction guy. Earl's the boss. Beth is Beth works for Earl, and Shannon's the marketing director. All right, so finally, what does the new pursuit look like? The very first step. Jerry meets Sarah at a hockey fundraiser and talks with her about her business. she is expanding and looking to grow rapidly. So this is actually what's been done behind the scenes. You'll see Shanna, our marketing director, she's been very busy. She actually was able to create great brand messages. What are those key promises and that differentiating value so that they could actually have a great conversation at that networking function. And then there was some networking training that happened because Jerry seemed very comfortable in a networking function and actually was able to have a conversation with a prospect. Number 2, Jerry invites Sarah to link in with a short personal note, not that standard verbiage that just goes, I'd like you to be my LinkedIn or link in with you, whatever that message is. But reminding her of how they met, and Sarah accepts his invitation. So once again, Shanna's been very busy. I'm sure at her firm she has some social media policies around what they can and can't do. She's set up their social media very well. There might even be standard language regarding the key messages. There's been training, how to use LinkedIn to the best possible way and maximize it for business development purposes, as well as coaching. If someone needs individual social media or LinkedIn coaching, she was able to actually assist in that matter. The third touch. Sarah notices a strong ad campaign for Jerry's company in a magazine she reads. Shanna had created this awesome ad campaign to targeted audiences. And my guess is it's probably not the most boring. It's very probably noticeable because there is a lot of different ad campaigns or ads in publications, and it's kind of boring, or it's kind of expensive to be boring. So if Sarah noticed it, you've got to be creative. The fourth touch. Sarah happens to read an article in that journal that Jerry wrote. Shanna created targeted niche media campaign. And she has a really great ghostwriter that the firm works with. And that was able to interview Jerry on the way to a meeting a couple of months ago and did the first draft of that article for Jerry. The next touch. Sarah jumps from the journal article to the firm website. She's interested enough that she wants to check out Jerry a little bit more. She's impressed with the content and a blog about her industry. Shanna was able to put together, with the help, I'm guessing, of some vendors, but a great new website. There's branded content campaign, meaning she's been adding blogs and articles or white papers. She's probably using that ghostwriter and content creators to create all that additional content so that it's very valuable to prospects, referral sources, or clients. The sixth touch in this pursuit is Sarah sees a new blog post on Jerry's LinkedIn status update and clicks on it. It goes to the firm website, which she's already checked out, but this time she reads Jerry's bio. Jerry has a terrific bio. Shanna was able to really have great bios. Maybe it's even a microsite, and there's different elements to the bios for all the partners, including a personal section, so that they can really see who Jerry is as a person. There's been some social media training that we talked about prior to this, and she's working with content creators once again. Sarah likes what she sees and signs up for the firm industry news alert. Each time one is sent, she's impressed by the original content. Now the key to this slide is original, because we can all tell when it's canned content. And I know a lot of firms don't have the resources to create content, whether it be just people are too busy to write, you know, there's not any great ideas. I would still encourage to work with some ghostwriters or content creators to create that original content. So Shanna, once again, has been very busy behind the scenes. She has a CRM system that she uses, which that's how she's sending out her online newsletters and other communications to prospects, referrals, or clients. She's using that branded content campaign again. And she has online lead generation because they signed up for the newsletter. And whether it's some form that they have to fill out or some of the content is actually gated, she's actually producing leads from her website. At Sarah's Industry Association, Earl is the featured speaker. Jerry and his assistant Beth are there. Shanna has a speaker's bureau. And how a speaker's bureau works is that you're consistently and proactively pitching ideas to speak to various associations where your target audiences are. And they just happen to pick up one of her ideas, but Jerry could be the speaker. And that's actually part of the niche marketing plan that she has for this particular industry, if not more within the firm. She might actually have 5 niche marketing plans that she's pitching various speakers to a wide variety of associations. And then we have the team sales development here. So she and the firm has actually made a commitment to get sales training, but also to learn that sometimes it's better to sell in teams because they might like Beth or they might like Jerry. And they'll relate to different people, and you can showcase different strengths that way. So let's go to our 9th touch. And we're only 9 out of 14, and look at how busy Shanna has been, the marketing director at the firm. She's really set up a lot of different systems here and is using a lot of different marketing tactics to really build this process. But Sarah signs up for the information on the speaker evaluation form. And not the speaker evaluation form that the association laid out, but the one that the firm created as a way to generate leads. And what I mean by this is that, yes, you want feedback on how Jerry did, or if Beth had a role in speaking, how Beth did. But, you know, what is Sarah actually interested in? What are some of her pains right now? You know, is she just interested in basic financial statements, or does she need an audit? Does she just have some complicated tax work, or she needs some major consulting? She's thinking about buying a building, whatever it may be. But you can have a lot of different information on that, that speaking evaluation form. The 10th contact is Earl calls Sarah to follow up within 24 hours and ask for her feedback. Now this is key here, is that it's 24 hours. So I would encourage all of your CPAs, your attorneys, or you yourself, whoever is doing the speaking, to make sure that immediately after the speaking is done, 24 to 36 hours, no, 24 to 3 days, 24 hours to 3 days, that you're following up with those leads that you received, or the attendee list if you didn't receive the leads, just to see if there's anything that you could assist them with or if they have any additional questions. And if Earl can't do it, I would say Beth, as Earl's assistant, however that looks, maybe she could follow up with an email or a LinkedIn invitation if they're not already LinkedIn, or that phone call, and actually schedule a phone call with Earl and whoever the prospect is. We actually have Melissa Trost in our office who does that for us, and it really helps Wendy and I manage a lot of different things that way. And she's actually able to give the prospects additional information so that they don't have to wait to talk to Wendy or I either, which can be very beneficial. All right, so what did Shannon do behind the scenes to get number 10 off the ground? She has the Defined Speakers Bureau process. So they actually follow a process at the firm from pre-speaking to when you're speaking to after speaking and what happens. So the fact that Earl had to call within 24 hours was one part of that process. And once again, we see the sales training. So Earl feels more comfortable making that phone call because he actually knows what to expect and what to say because of the sales training that he's had. The 11th contact or touch is Sarah calls Jerry to ask some questions. So she must have actually returned his call for his message. Her company is creating an RFP for their new building and wants his opinion. He sets up an appointment to see her and brings back. So what did Shannon actually have to do with that? You'd be surprised. Once again, we see that defined sales process. We have not only a speaker's bureau process, but now we're getting into, okay, what happened? Should Earl just have gone out to meet with Sarah on his own? And because they actually had a process, he wanted to bring Beth, which also in turn creates a great cross-service process because if Beth, depending on what her role is, she'll see other additional cross-service opportunities and maybe see things a little bit differently than Earl. So together as a team, they're actually able to serve Sarah better and answer more questions. Jerry and Beth tour Sarah's office and ask great questions. Beth and Jerry both have some ideas for the RFP, and her company and Sarah is intrigued, which is number 12 of the 14 touches. The team sales training is happening and the great brand messages. And once again, you want to use great brand messages, and that is around the questions that they ask. Because if you can figure out what your key promises are or your differentiating value and ask questions around those in the sales process, then they're actually able to discern why you're different. The 13th touch. Sarah thinks she's never seen such a team of bright, communicative, helpful people. While our own team is working on the RFP, she has a great feeling about Jerry's company and talks about them to the selection committee. And then the last touch is Jerry and his team respond to the RFP and are clearly the front runners. They turn in their proposal first and present last, since 85% of those who win a proposal have a prior relationship with the company, which based on those 14 touches, Sarah or Jerry and Beth did have a prior relationship with Sarah and the other company members that they were able to meet. The other key here is that they actually turned in the proposal first, which is the position that you want to be in, but you want to always present last because your win ratio goes up if you're able to present last. So now look at all of these touches, as you can see during the new pursuit. You can see how it's drastically changed, and it actually takes patience, takes systems, and really good marketing to make this work. So before I go into just to finish up the webinar, I would encourage all of you to kind of think through your process and what the 14 touches would look like with any future prospects going on, and then how that can be implemented within your firm. Ingenuity Marketing does a wide variety. We have full marketing solutions, as you can see here. We help with all sorts of different firms doing a wide variety of things. We do that complete branding process, so determining what your key differentiating and your key promises are, as well as how to implement that into the sales process. We do reputation management and our building and management. And this is key, especially for those that really want to be niche experts in certain industries. And then if you have not signed up for Ingenious Review, be sure you do. And the other thing that I want to mention is we have a brand new website. So if you've not gotten notice about that, be sure to check out ingenuitymarketing.com and let us know what you think. And we're actually looking for feedback, whether good or bad. So we have some questions, which I'm going to answer right now. What is the approximately time frame for the 14 touches? Great question. And I think it depends on your sales process. It could take, we have a sales process or sales timeline or process that could take, 2 months or 1 month, and then we have others that could take 3 years. So it really depends on, obviously, Sarah, the prospect, had a need sooner than later, so that was in their benefit. And I don't think the time frame is as important as actually consistently doing the 14 touches. And it will take some time depending on, what you're trying to accomplish. We have niches that we, whether we're looking at the accounting, the legal, or the banking niche, and like for the last 4 years, we've done direct mail, and then we followed up. But if they're not on our newsletter list, or they're not seeing us in any, like, say, banking publications right now, it kind of limits their touches, and it'll take a little bit longer cycle. So that sales cycle can be a little bit longer than if we were really going after, which we do in the accounting marketing, our sales cycle is definitely shorter because we, for some reason, have been able to really I can't think of the word, penetrate that niche. So we're speaking, we're writing articles for various publications, that kind of thing. So the touches are more frequent and the sales cycle has cut down, which is why you kind of need an integrated marketing program, and you're looking at traditional and non-traditional ways to push out those touches. So if we have any other questions, otherwise, please feel free to, I have a couple, sorry. Does the order of the touches matter? What premium in terms of pricing do you place on doing all of these steps? Oh wait, I got it here. Okay, so does the order of the touches matter? No, the order of the touches does not matter. This was just an example of how it could look depending on what was happening. And what premium in terms of pricing do you place on doing all of these steps? We've done a relatively good job on some recent engagements, only to get blown out of the water on pricing by other firms. In some cases, nearly half. That is an excellent question. Unfortunately, there are some niches and some, I would say some niches, some industries that we're still seeing really competitive pricing. And you can do everything possible to differentiate yourself and to go through all of these touches, but depending on the niche it is, and if they have to, like say, nonprofit to some extent, and they have to take the lowest bid, there's nothing more than they can do. But what I would encourage you, if that does happen, continue to stay in touch with them, continue to do touches of some sort, or follow with them to see how things are going, because eventually they have to cut costs somewhere to make up the money that they're losing, would be my guess. And we have actually won jobs by staying in touch with prospects that we lost on. So I would encourage to just continue the process of doing these steps and staying in touch with them. Do we have any other questions? Well, wonderful. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us. We recorded this webinar, so if you would like a copy of it, otherwise Melissa will be sending out a link to the recording eventually. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to email me. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Thank you, everyone.